Hi, my name is Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and I wanted to do a quick book review for the book The Vines by Shelley Nolden. And this is a book that I was so kindly given the opportunity to read from Netgalley and Freiling Publishing, and I appreciate given the chance to review this book. So this book took me a little while to read because, for one, I've been struggling this month to read in general, but then also there were a lot of things about this book that I had issues with. Although the book was overall fairly entertaining, there were a lot of elements to it that I thought were kind of clumsy. So let me first talk about what the book is about. It's about this little island in New York called North Brother Island. And this was an island where they sent people who had different illnesses that were contagious, like typhus, and like Typhoon Mary was sent to North Brother Island. It's where she actually lived out her life. And these people were sent there to be kept away from the general population so that, like, if they had smallpox or these other illnesses, they wouldn't spread them throughout New York, because New York was obviously a very populous city. So of course, during that time, as with most places where doctors were given the opportunity and the freedom to kind of test things on their patients, there were a lot of patients who did not have the best experience because the doctors were testing different things to try and see what would work. And there wasn't a lot of freedom for some of these patients, and one in particular. So the story starts out set in 2007, the year 2007. And it's about this guy named Finn who goes to North Brother Island because his family has some sort of legacy that has to do with this island. But he doesn't know what it is because he's been kept in the dark and he's curious. So he goes to try and find out more information. And on the island, he meets this woman named Cora. Well, he meets her, meaning she tries to kill him. But as he meets Cora, he starts to unearth some things about his family. And you also then start to unearth things about Cora as a reader, because there ends up being a lot of time jumping. You jump from different time periods within the story, not meaning there's like time travel. I mean, like, the author moves from one period of time to the next. So you're kind of trying to understand why Cora is on this island, what kind of past she's had to deal with, and then how does Finn and his family incorporate into this whole story. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna give, because I don't want to give anything away. This is sort of a mystery thriller, I would say, but it's also kind of historical fiction in some ways. So overall, I would have given this book a 2.75, and that's because I felt like it was entertaining. There was a certain amount of entertainment in the pace of this book because it was a fairly fast-paced book, and the action scenes were good. They were really good. The concepts were very interesting, and what I really loved about it was that the author, Shelley Nolden, incorporated a lot of actual historical elements into the book. Like, she included Typhoon Mary, she included the 2007 tornado that hit Brooklyn. So she tried to use actual points in history to inform her writing. You can tell that she did a lot of research into different forms of virology and some of these illnesses and sicknesses and some of the history surrounding that area. And I liked that. I really like books that do that. That's a really big plus for me and something that draws me in as a reader. However, there were a lot of things about this that were very clunky, and I struggled with the writing style quite a bit. I didn't love the way I don't even want to say structured her sentences, but more like structured her paragraphs. There were parts where I felt like the paragraph breaks were really odd. It was like, why didn't you include this sentence in this paragraph? It makes more sense there. Or why did you cut up this paragraph? It just felt like this book could have used a lot more editing. And some of the dialogue was kind of unbelievable, in the sense that if I'm listening to people talk and have a conversation, especially in moments of excitement, and not like good excitement, but like things are happening, the way that these characters talked sometimes, I was like, this makes it unrealistic, because people don't really talk this way. At least most of the time they don't. There were words that they used that were it just didn't feel realistic, like conversational. It didn't feel conversational. I also felt that there were too many details to this story. I said I liked that she incorporated parts of history into the story, and that was great. But there was just too many things she wanted to add to this in general. I felt like if she had pared it down a little bit more, it would have been a lot more effective, because there were too many things to keep in mind, and there were definitely sections where I was like, why did she even bring that up? That was unnecessary. And the other thing, and this kind of goes along with the editing too, is that I felt like there were unnecessary characters, and their moments of being developed were completely unnecessary, whereas you could have spent more time in developing the characters that were more important, in my opinion. For example, there is Cora, who is my favorite character. She's the most important character, and I loved her in this book. So I wasn't disappointed in her character at all. I felt like she was appropriately described, and that was probably one of the really strong parts of this book, was Cora. Then there was Finn, who is the guy who discovers Cora, and he just wasn't developed enough. You learn more about his girlfriend, Lily, who I thought could have been left out of the book completely. Lily, to me, added nothing to this book, and I was not at all interested in her character. And if you had built up Finn more, then I think I would have been more into the other characters. I liked the characters that were set in the past more, like Otto and Ulrich, but any of the characters that were set in the present in 2007 were really not built up hardly enough. All the story that was set in the past, and when you did this time shifts to the past, those parts were great, and I felt like they were much more well developed than the current time. So there was a lot of things to this that I feel struggled in the jumping back and forth, and part of it was the character development. Maybe if she had pared down the characters a bit, not had so many characters, and then developed the ones that were already, to me, some of the feature characters, I would have enjoyed it a bit more. Because I just kind of think it was too busy. This book was just too busy. And this was her debut novel, and so I understand that debut novels can be really difficult. You have so many ideas you want to get out there, and I totally get that. But it felt that way. So there actually is going to be a second book, and this one does leave off on a bit of a cliffhanger. There is enough completion in a sense that if you read this book, I think you'll be okay with reading just this book, but there is a cliffhanger at the end, and there is an opening for a second book if you're interested in reading the second book. I haven't decided yet if I am. It would be interesting to read the second book and see if maybe some of the things I complained about with this first book would be resolved in another book, especially when there is a lot of constructive criticism out there to help hopefully improve the craft. She got really good reviews, so people are very interested in her story. I don't know if people were really looking at the writing style as being an issue. There were some people who gave it lower scores who suffered from some of the things I did, where they were just like, the writing was very clunky. The actual structure of the writing was sometimes kind of difficult to deal with, but not as many people commented on how there was just too much going on in the book. For me, that was one of the issues. I just thought it could use a lot of editing. And so if you're really interested in mystery thrillers that have more of a historical bent, and you're curious about this period of time, especially looking at North Brother Island, she took a lot of inspiration from COVID-19 and some of the virology questions we have. And so if you're interested in that, I do recommend checking it out. And I feel like a lot of people who have read it have enjoyed it. So I could just be someone who is a little more critical and struggled a little more with the writing style. That could be it. So if you've had a chance to read this, or if you're interested in reading it, let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear if you've read it, what you thought yourself. And if you're interested in reading it, I'm curious to know what about it intrigues you. So if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe if you're enjoying my content and would like to hear more of my reviews. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.